Let me ask you something powerful. What happens when you stop pouring your energy into everything that drains you and start investing that same energy into you? Because the truth is this: most people are busy focusing on what doesn't serve them. They're focused on people who don't care, on problems that don't grow them, and on opinions that don't build them. But if you ever want to experience transformation, you've got to redirect your focus, because where focus goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, results show. Listen, God didn't design you to live distracted. He designed you to live destined. Every minute you waste worrying about someone else's journey, you delay your own breakthrough. You can't become who you're called to be if you're obsessed with who someone else is pretending to be. When you focus on yourself, you're not being selfish, you're being strategic. Because your future demands the best version of you, not the diluted version that's trying to please everyone else. Let me ask you something that might shift the entire direction of your life. What if your focus has been the very thing controlling your future all along? Think about it. Every success, every failure, every dream that stayed a dream, all traced back to what you chose to focus on. Your focus is your future. You can't walk towards something you don't see, and you can't receive something you're not looking for. The truth is, most people are not defeated by lack of opportunity. They're defeated by lack of focus. They see too much, want too much, listen to too many voices, and lose sight of the one thing that matters: their divine assignment. If you don't control your focus will control you. See, focus is like sunlight. When it's scattered, it warms nothing. But when it's concentrated, it can cut through steel. That's the power of intentional attention. When you choose to focus on your growth, your goals, and your God-given potential, you activate a magnetic energy that pulls success in your direction. But when your mind is distracted by comparison, fear, and validation, you push that same success away. Your life expands or shrinks in direct proportion to the level of focus you maintain. You can't expect big results with divided attention. Here's the secret most people miss. The enemy doesn't have to destroy you. All he has to do is distract you, because distraction is destruction in slow motion. Every time you let your attention drift to what doesn't matter, you're trading purpose for pleasure, destiny for drama, and progress for procrastination. You were never meant to chase everything. You were meant to master one thing. When you start focusing your energy on what truly matters, your potential begins to multiply. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. Focus is a spiritual discipline. It's not just about productivity. It's about alignment. When you focus, you tell the universe, I'm ready. You tell your mind, we're moving forward. You tell your spirit, it's time to elevate. That's why people who live with focus walk differently. They don't entertain every conversation. They don't chase every opportunity. And they don't waste emotional energy on things beneath their purpose. They understand that focus creates power and power creates movement. Now here's the hook. You will never rise higher than your dominant focus. If your focus is on problems, you'll attract more of them. If your focus is on possibilities, you'll open doors that didn't even exist before. Energy flows where attention goes, and results grow where intention shows. So the next time you find yourself overwhelmed by distractions, stop and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Because every moment you focus on what drains you is a moment stolen from what develops you. You've got to learn to guard your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. You can't afford to keep letting every opinion, every fear, Every temporary setback, redirect your attention. You were created to lead, not to be led by noise. Every time you refocus, you reclaim authority over your destiny. Every time you say no to distraction, you say yes to elevation. Focus is not about what you look at, it's about what you see. And when you see your purpose clearly, nothing can stop you. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of disciplined focus. A version that's sharper, stronger, wealthier, wiser, and more impactful. The only way to meet that version is to stop scattering your power. So today, make a decision. Focus on the mission, not the mess. Focus on the vision, not the voices. Focus on what's becoming, not what's behind. Because when you focus like your future depends on it, it shows up like it's been waiting for you all along. Energy is your greatest currency, and the moment you understand that your entire life begins to shift, you trade time, you trade effort, you trade attention, but energy, that's the one resource that multiplies everything it touches or destroys everything it enters, depending on how you use it. Let me ask you something. Where have you been spending your energy? Because the way you spend it reveals the future you're building. Some people are not tired because they've been working too hard. They're tired because they've been giving their energy to things that don't give a return. Every conversation, every habit, every thought is a transaction, and if it doesn't bring you peace or progress, it's costing you more than you think. The truth is, money follows energy. Success follows energy. Influence follows energy. You can't expect abundance while walking in exhaustion. You can't attract greatness while vibrating in frustration. The frequency you live on determines the opportunities that appear in your life. High energy is not about caffeine or charisma. It's about alignment. When your energy aligns with your purpose, everything begins to accelerate. Doors open faster. People show up who match your mission. Resources find their way to you. That's not luck. That's law. You are a magnet, and your energy is what decides what you attract and what you repel. Now, here's the part most people miss. Your energy leaks through what you tolerate. Every time you entertain negativity, gossip, or fear, you're leaking power. Every time you dwell on what's wrong instead of what's possible, you lower your frequency. That's why protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's sacred. You can't pour into your goals with an empty spirit. You can't elevate your business while carrying emotional clutter. You've got to declutter your energy like your destiny depends on it. Because it does. The quality of your life will always mirror the quality of your energy. Let me drop a hook on you. The energy you carry announces you before you speak. People can feel your vibration before they hear your voice. That's why you can walk into a room and shift the atmosphere without saying a word. When your energy is strong, confident, and grounded in faith, it speaks louder than any resume. You don't have to chase attention. Your presence commands it. You don't have to beg for opportunities. Your vibration attracts them. The most powerful people in the world aren't the loudest. They're the most aligned. Their energy tells the universe, I'm ready. And the universe responds, I've been waiting. You've got to start treating your energy like a bank account. Stop making withdrawals for people who never make deposits. Stop investing in drama that pays no dividends. Start budgeting your emotional currency. Every day, decide where your energy will go, who gets access to it, and what purpose it will serve. When you manage your energy with wisdom, you start seeing compound interest in every area of your life. Your peace grows, your creativity expands, your influence multiplies. That's how powerful energy management is. The reason most people never experience real transformation is because they keep trying to change circumstances without changing energy. But if your energy doesn't shift, your results won't either. You can't think small and attract abundance. You can't complain and expect miracles. You can't stay bitter and walk in blessing. Everything you want requires a higher energetic standard. You must decide daily to elevate your vibration. Speak life, move with gratitude, act with excellence, and watch how your entire environment rearranges itself to match your new level. So ask yourself this powerful question. Is my energy reflecting where I'm going or where I've been? Because one version of you is trying to survive and the other is trying to soar. The choice between the two is made in every energetic decision you take. When you start operating like your energy is divine currency, you stop spending it on survival and start investing it in success. That's when everything changes. That's when you stop chasing blessings and start becoming the blessing. Because when your energy rises, everything attached to you rises too. You can't keep pouring into what doesn't pour back and expect to live a life full of peace, purpose, and prosperity. That's the trap so many fall into. They mistake endurance for loyalty, and they confuse consistency with connection. But here's the truth. What you continuously pour into will either grow or drain you, depending on whether it has the capacity to pour back. The problem isn't that you're giving too much. It's that you're giving to the wrong places. Every time you invest your time, your energy, your love, your wisdom into people or situations that don't reciprocate, you deplete your spirit and delay your growth. You were created to produce fruit, not to water barren soil. Think about this. A river doesn't flow backward to refill the streams that once fed it. It keeps moving forward, carving new paths. You're finding new directions. You've got to learn to move like that. The energy you waste trying to revive dead connections, old dreams, or people who no longer align with your vision as energy that could have been building your next level. It's time to stop being emotionally generous to environments that only offer spiritual poverty. When something no longer feeds your faith, it's not helping your future. It's holding it hostage. The moment you stop pouring into what drains you, you create space for what fuels you. That's the power of divine redirection. Sometimes God doesn't remove people or situations to punish you. He removes them to protect your purpose. But we fight it. We try to resurrect what was meant to rest. We try to heal what's not willing to be whole. You can't fix people who benefit from being broken. You can't grow around those who fear your growth. You can't rise in rooms that resist your light. So stop begging for reciprocity from places that have already shown you they can't give it. Here's the hook. You are not obligated to stay connected to what costs you your peace. You owe yourself the courage to walk away from everything that's not contributing to your calling. Because every time you keep pouring into emptiness, you're teaching the world that your energy is cheap. Your worth is not measured by how much you give. It's revealed by what you refuse to give away for free. Protecting your energy isn't arrogance. It's awareness. You're not rejecting people. You're respecting your purpose. Some of you have been so busy keeping others filled that you forgot to stay full yourself. You're trying to be everyone's answer while you're running on empty. But even a well eventually runs dry if it's not being refilled. You can't pour wisdom if you're not feeding your mind. You can't pour love if you're not nurturing your heart. You can't pour vision if you're not refreshing your spirit. The greatest act of service you can give the world is a healthy, focused, and fulfilled version of you. And let's be real, sometimes the hardest part of growth isn't letting go of others. It's letting go of who you were when you needed them. But growth demands separation. You can't become the next version of yourself while still feeding the insecurities of the last one. You've got to make peace with walking alone for a season so you can walk in purpose for a lifetime. Don't chase validation from those who can't comprehend your value. The moment you withdraw your energy from dead investments, you'll start seeing returns from divine connections. Start pouring into what multiplies you, your goals, your faith, your health, your peace, your future. Pour into the people who celebrate your vision, not those who tolerate your presence. Pour into the projects that stretch you, not the distractions that shrink you. Because the truth is, you become what you consistently pour into. So make sure your energy is invested where it can expand you, not exhaust you. You were not created to be a constant giver with nothing left to give. You were created to overflow. And overflow only happens when you stop pouring into what doesn't pour back. You can't fix the outer world until you first shift the inner one. Everything that shows up around you is a reflection of what's happening within you. Most people spend their lives trying to change circumstances without realizing those circumstances are simply mirrors reflecting their inner state. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And until your internal energy, beliefs, and emotions rise to meet your desired reality, your life will keep repeating the same patterns in different forms. If your mind is cluttered, your life will be chaotic. If your spirit is grounded, your environment will begin to align with peace, progress, and purpose. Let me ask you something powerful. How can you expect clarity when your inner dialogue is filled with confusion? How can you expect abundance when your thoughts are soaked in scarcity? You can't build something extraordinary with a mindset built on survival. The transformation you're praying for won't come from fixing the external. It will come from reprogramming the internal. The most powerful renovation happens in silence, when you begin to confront your own thoughts, dismantle your limiting beliefs, and choose to replace reaction with intention. That's the moment your energy begins to shift. And when your energy shifts, your entire life starts rearranging itself around that new frequency. You see, the reason people stay stuck is not because they don't have the right opportunity. It's because they keep showing up with the wrong energy. You can't walk into a room expecting abundance when your spirit is still anchored in anxiety. You can't expect new outcomes with the same emotional vibration that created the old ones. That's why alignment matters. You can learn all the strategies, but if your spirit is still out of sync, those strategies won't stick. Your inner world sets the thermostat for everything around you. Relationships, finances, business, even health. When your inner energy rises, your outer reality has no choice but to follow. Here's the hook. The storm outside you doesn't matter if there's peace inside you. You can't control every situation, but you can always control your vibration. When you shift your energy from reaction to creation, you move from chaos to command. You start realizing that power was never in your circumstances. It was in your consciousness. That's the difference between those who live as victims and those who live as victors. Victims wait for change. Victors become the change. The minute you decide to raise your inner frequency, you stop being moved by external conditions. You become the one who moves them. Let's be honest. Most people are trying to rearrange their environment when what they really need to rearrange is their energy. They try to find peace by changing people. jobs, or cities, but end up facing the same patterns everywhere they go. Why? Because they carried the same vibration with them. If you don't fix the inner world, every outer change will just be temporary. But the moment you heal, the moment you forgive, the moment you elevate your thinking, the world starts responding differently. You begin to attract opportunities that match your new identity. This is the law of alignment. Everything you desire already exists, but you have to become the person who can hold it. You can't attract wealth while believing you're unworthy. You can't manifest love while radiating bitterness. You can't create impact while walking in insecurity. It's not about doing more. It's about being more. When you embody peace, peace finds you. When you embody abundance, abundance chases you. When you embody purpose, every door meant for you opens naturally. That's how the inner world dictates the outer one. So start within. Rebuild your faith before you rebuild your business. Strengthen your mindset before you strengthen your brand. Clean your inner atmosphere before you complain about your outer environment. Because everything flows from energy. You are both the seed and the soil. And when the soil of your soul is fertile, the harvest outside will be undeniable. The world doesn't change when you do more. It changes when you become more. And that shift always begins from the inside out. You were never created to blend in. You were created to set the temperature. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer. A thermometer reflects what's happening around it. A thermostat defines what happens around it. Too many people spend their lives reacting to environments they were born to transform. They adapt to low energy, small thinking, and mediocrity because it feels safe when in truth, their calling was to raise the standard. The moment you stop letting your surroundings dictate your state and start deciding how you show up, you step into true power. You become the atmosphere changer, not the atmosphere chaser. Every room has energy. Every conversation carries vibration. The difference between those who lead and those who follow is that leaders walk in knowing they bring the energy, they don't wait for it. When you understand you are the thermostat, you begin to live with purpose and precision. You start commanding your emotional temperature. You stop letting fear freeze you, doubt drain you, or negativity numb you. Because energy, once mastered, becomes influence. You can't influence what you imitate. You've got to decide to set the tone, not take the tone handed to you. Here's the truth most people ignore. You can't shift a room if you're constantly adjusting to it. Your calling demands conviction. It requires emotional discipline. If you keep matching the energy of others, you'll keep shrinking to fit the space you were meant to expand. But when you walk grounded in your identity, anchored in your mission, and aligned with your vision, people begin to respond to your presence differently. The atmosphere recognizes authority. Energy recognizes alignment. When you radiate certainty, people feel it. When you speak from conviction, people listen. You're not waiting for momentum. You are momentum. Here's the hook. Energy doesn't lie. You can't fake a frequency. You can post confidence, you can wear success, but if your inner world isn't calibrated, people will feel that dissonance. The thermostat mindset isn't about pretending to be strong. It's about choosing to remain centered no matter what chaos surrounds you. When things heat up, you don't panic. You regulate. When things cool down, you don't complain, you reignite. That's mastery. That's leadership. The thermostat doesn't ask for permission to adjust the temperature. It simply does what it was designed to do. There will always be environments trying to pull you out of alignment. People who test your peace. situations that challenge your patience, circumstances that attempt to lower your vibration. But that's exactly when you prove who you are. Anyone can be calm when life is comfortable. True leaders remain centered when life is chaotic. You don't have to match energy. You can elevate it. You don't have to argue for attention. Your energy commands it. When you decide that your inner state will no longer be controlled by outer noise, you reclaim your power. You start living by decision, not reaction. Some of you have spent years dimming your light to keep others comfortable. You've been reading the room instead of redefining it. But your purpose was never meant to fit the room. It was meant to shift it. The thermostat doesn't wait for validation. It creates transformation. You've got to walk into every environment like the standard, not the student. When your energy is grounded in truth, faith, and excellence, the world has no choice but to adjust to your frequency. So ask yourself, are you reflecting the energy around you, or are you redefining it? Every day is a test of mastery. Every challenge is an opportunity to calibrate your spirit to power, peace, and purpose. When others lose focus, you stay fixed. When others break under pressure, you breathe through it. That's what it means to be the thermostat. You decide the energy, you determine the atmosphere, and you dictate the outcome. The world will always respond to the vibration you broadcast. So broadcast greatness. Broadcast calm in chaos. Broadcast certainty in confusion. Because when your inner world sets the temperature, everything around you rises to meet your standard. And as I close, I want you to remember this. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer. You don't just measure the environment, you set it. You don't wait for energy to shift around you. You become the one who shifts it. You don't chase peace. You create peace. You don't look for light. You are the light. So stop waiting for validation and start walking in revelation. Focus on yourself. Shift your energy and watch your entire life shift with it.